Hey, this is Mark Moore, aka Tuxedo Mark, at various places on the internet. It's 1:20 p.m. according to the computer clock on Tuesday, April 8, 2014. And yesterday, my mom and I went to see Noah. Okay. Alright, so, we'd been looking forward to seeing this movie for a while, so how was it? It was pretty good, actually. I enjoyed it. Okay. I guess I should preface this by saying I reread the story in the Bible of Noah before seeing this movie, just so I could kind of figure out how much of the actual story that they put in the movie, and they put in quite a bit. They deviated somewhat, but I'll get into that. Okay. First of all, the story in the Bible of Noah is only 4 chapters long. It's Genesis 6 through 9. The first 5 chapters deal with the creation and Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel and Seth, and then basically a genealogical line, or basically a list of descendants and stuff like that leading up to Noah. Now, the movie itself, obviously they would have to add stuff. So here's what they did. They start out with like a text, a series of lines of text explaining what happened, and apparently in this movie Noah and his family are the descendants of Seth, Adam and Eve's 3rd son, while everyone else in the world are the descendants of Cain. Now, I haven't checked the lineages in the Bible to see if that's accurate or not, and I don't really feel like doing so at the moment. But that's how the movie has it set up, and apparently this is interesting. The snake in the Garden of Eden, it sheds its skin before it goes over to tempt Adam and Eve. And apparently Adam picked up that snake skin and saved it and passed it along to his descendants. So it's like them wrapping the snake skin around their arm is like a symbol that they are the guardian of the world or the protector of the world or something like that. That's kind of interesting. Now here's the first deviation from the Bible. Noah's father, Lamech, I think that's his name, is murdered when Noah is really young. That's in contrast to the Bible where, his father, he basically grows up with his father. I mean, the Bible doesn't really say anything about the relationship. It's just that, Lamech, or I'm gonna look his name up to see if I got that right. But he lived for hundreds of years, just like Noah. Yeah, Lamech. Okay, Lamech. Now, there's another Lamech mentioned in Genesis chapter 4, I believe, that has no relation to Noah's father, Lamech. Noah's grandfather is named Methuselah. He appears in the film as well. Depending on which ancient source that you're using to translate, it gives different ages for the different, pre-flood, antediluvian patriarchs, and apparently Noah was the 10th of the patriarchs. But anyway, tradition holds that Methuselah died like a week before the flood, or if you use his ages to try to calculate when he died, it could have been, before the flood, it could have been after the flood, even though he wasn't mentioned to have gone on the ark. But anyway, so Methuselah's there. Basically, the way that this story is set up, God talks to Noah in the story in the Bible. He tells him exactly what he's going to do. He tells him the dimensions of the ark. He gives him instructions on how many animals to take on the ark, even though he kind of contradicts himself at one point. But yeah, so God talks throughout the story. Noah doesn't have any lines until after the flood, where he curses one of his grandsons or something for something stupid. I don't know. But anyway, and no one else speaks. There are no other human characters in the Noah story other than Noah and his family. I don't think Noah's wife isn't mentioned by name. His sons are mentioned by name, but their wives are not mentioned by name. So the story is very concise and very sparse. So of course the movie makes up a bunch of stuff. So other than killing off Noah's father and basically for tragedy purposes, because other than the flood itself, there's really no tragedy in the story of Noah. And also to give Noah an antagonist. And here's something interesting that they did. They took a character that's only mentioned in Genesis prior to the flood. His name is hang on. Tubal-Cain. He's mentioned in Genesis 4:22. He's a descendant of Cain, the son of Lamech and Zillah. This is the other Lamech that I mentioned, not Noah's father. So Tubal-Cain, and it's mentioned that he has some kind of metalworking skill. Now it's interesting that in Genesis 10, there's a Tubal listed in the Table of Nations as land well known for metalwork. So even though I don't see how it could be connected to Tubal-Cain the person, since the nation is mentioned after the flood. But whatever. So Tubal-Cain might be a metalsmith or whatever. The movie makes him into a king, I guess, of the nation of Tubal. And he does indeed excel in metalwork and creating weapons and stuff like that. And he's Noah's antagonist in the film. Okay. Noah has every reason to hate him. But they don't meet for a long time after Noah's father is murdered. Okay, so the way that the movie does the thing, God doesn't talk in the movie at all. You don't even sense God's presence in the movie. It's very God seems detached and distant. He's not even referred to as God anywhere at any point in the movie. He's constantly referred to as the creator, which is interesting. I guess they're setting up some kind of the word God hadn't come into use by that point, and everyone just refers to him as the creator. because that's all that he's really known for, is creating the world. Now, I believe it's Tubal-Cain that mentions that the creator has basically abandoned man, and he hasn't spoken since he marked Cain. I haven't looked through Genesis to see if that's true or not. I suppose it wouldn't. I suppose that's accurate, because after the story of Cain and Abel and Cain being marked by God, I think that's when the genealogical lists take over. So I guess the Bible really doesn't specify whether God continued talking to people or not, but the movie says they have had no contact from the Creator ever since, those many generations ago. So this is a world that has not heard from the Creator in a long time. Certainly no one alive at that point will have heard the Creator. So, God doesn't even talk to Noah in this film. What happens is Noah receives a bunch of visions in his dreams. And from that, he determines there's going to be a deluge, and he has to build an ark. And apparently it's going to house the animals. And these dream sequences are very well done. They're very creative. Okay. They journey to Methuselah's mountain. Apparently he lives on a mountain. They don't know if Methuselah is still alive or not, but Noah wants to seek him out, seek his grandfather out, find out what to do. Methuselah gives him some medicine in his tea or whatever. Yeah, I guess they drank tea back then. And knocks Noah out just so Noah could have more visions and find out exactly what to do. And he does. Okay. I should mention that they picked up a girl. And this is new. She's not in the Bible. But, let me find out her name really quick. Illa. I-L-A. Okay. She eventually grows up into Hermione. But yeah, they find her in the aftermath of an attack. She's like the only survivor of this massacre of humans. And they take her in, and basically she's an adoptive daughter, as she eventually becomes Shem's wife. Shem is one of the sons of Noah. Okay, so that's one wife accounted for. Okay, so as for Ham and Japheth, Japheth is really young. He's the youngest one. And I think there's like, depending on the translation that you're using, determines like how you interpret some of the original languages, determines like which one's the oldest and which one's the youngest. It doesn't really matter, but anyway. So, Noah's mother's played by Noah's wife is named Nameh in this film, and she's played by Jennifer Connelly. Okay. So, Methuselah is kind of funny, actually. He keeps craving berries ever since Ham mentions berries and stuff. He's like, I want berries. It's been a long time since I've had them. He eventually does find a berry and eats it right before the flood washes him away. It's kind of tragic, but it's also kind of funny. He's like, yay, I've eaten a berry, my life is complete. Okay. Let's see. So Noah's building this ark. The way that this is kind of funny. Methuselah gives Noah a seed from the Garden of Eden that apparently has been kept and passed down this whole time. So Noah plants it, and the next morning a whole forest sprouts up, providing enough wood to build the ark. I guess they gotta do something, because this land, both the land that Noah lives in and the land that Methuselah lives in, is very arid and lacking vegetation. So, magic seed, why not? Also, Methuselah seems to have some kind of powers. He puts Ham to sleep. He's like, yeah. Also, he cures Illa's barrenness because she's unable to have children because of the attack. He's like, I haven't given you my blessing. And he cures it. Okay, so magic powers, why not? I guess the humans that were so close in relation to Adam, the first man, I guess they have magic powers. Why not? Or maybe it's just the descendants of Seth. Who knows? Maybe it's like the ones that are the guardians of the world. They have magic abilities. I don't know. Now here's something else interesting. This doesn't come directly from the Bible. I mean, it sort of does. The thing is, in Genesis 6, right before the story of Noah, there's this really odd account that said that the sons of God came down to the earth and impregnated human women who gave birth to giants. Or, I guess there's some vagueness in the original language. It might be that the angels themselves were the giants. And it said these are the famous men of old, men of renown. Oh, okay, and apparently this is part of the wickedness. So, I guess. It just mentions that everyone's so wicked that God decides to wipe out the earth, but he's pleased with Noah. Alright, so here's what the movie did. They took this backstory from a book called the Book of Enoch. Enoch was Methuselah's father, so he's Noah's great-grandfather. He's also, according to the list of ages in the Bible, he's the oldest person that ever lived, to like 900 something or whatever. So, Enoch, it mentions in Genesis that he walked with God. Now, apparently there was an ancient text, don't recall offhand exactly from which year, but apparently it was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, and even somewhere in the New Testament, they even quoted from the Book of Enoch, and they attributed it to Enoch in the New Testament. So the New Testament authors were well aware of this book, and apparently it was considered highly important. It's not in any Bible in any mainstream church today. No one really considers it canon. And I haven't actually read the book itself, but I looked through a summary of it. It deals with like fallen angels called the Watchers. And in the movie, I don't know if this is true in the book or not, but in the movie, they were punished by God for trying to help mankind after the fall. God imprisoned them in rock. Their spiritual beings are like yellow, like a bright light, but they're imprisoned in rock, and they basically become golems. So yeah, we've got giant rock monsters in this movie. But the thing is, they decide to help Noah build the ark. So they proved to be pretty useful. And when Tubal-Cain attacks with his forces, right as the flood's starting, the Watchers basically destroy them and wipe out the army. Some of them even rip themselves open just so that their when their spirit forms get free, that causes a whole bunch of destruction. This is actually really awesome. I know a lot of purists are going to have problems with this, but I really enjoy that part. It was interesting. There's this one really heartbreaking scene. Ham had went off to try to find a wife, and he comes across this girl named Nael in a pit. He gives her food, he earns her trust, and he's going to take her aboard the Ark. But when they're running toward the Ark, her foot gets caught in an animal trap, and Tubal-Cain and his army are like right on their heels. Noah arrives, and Ham begs Noah to help her, but he basically makes him save himself, and he leaves Nael to get trampled by Tubal-Cain's army. That is horrible. I thought she was going to become Ham's wife, but no, that was a fake out. It was really it was difficult to watch. The animals, God or the Creator guides them to the Ark. They come two at a time to the Ark because the Creator summoned them there. It's funny when the snakes arrive. Noah's sons are like, snakes? They're coming too? Anyway, they've got magic incense to put all the animals to sleep. It's a convenient way to not have to deal with animals being awake on the Ark. So, magic incense that puts animals to sleep. Okay, why not? None of these powers or spells or potions or whatever are ever given a word of explanation in the film itself. I guess it's just meant to be like, common occurrences back then, before the flood. Yeah, and the world before the flood was very different. And in fact, you can see stars during the daytime, which is kind of strange. I guess they wanted to show that the atmosphere was different before the flood. Okay, so they get on the Ark. Humanity is wiped out by both the Watchers and the flood, and water comes out of the ground too, which I believe the Bible does mention that water comes out of the ground as well as out of the sky. Alright, so Ham hates his dad. Now, Tubal-Cain somehow he stows away on the Ark secretly. A lot of people are going to have issue with that, but let's just go with it here. So everyone's on the Ark. They're listening to the cries of the people outside, and you can even see people climbing a mountain outside during the flood. And they're just wailing, and it's really horrible. And Ham even mentions Nael's name to Noah, and he's like, her name was Nael. She was good, and Noah just doesn't know how to respond to that, and he just leaves. So, everyone's dead outside. All remaining life is in the Ark. So, Tubal-Cain kind of befriends Ham and uses Ham's anger against his father to kind of manipulate him and get him on his side. He wants Ham to lure Noah. So Noah can get killed. And also, Illa finds out that she's pregnant, and when they finally let Noah know, you see, Noah, his idea is that the Creator tasked them with saving the animals and releasing them after the flood, and then humanity is to die out. Because Noah feels that the Creator decided that humanity is beyond redemption and the new world will be for the animals alone. Okay? Now, when Noah finds out that Ilah's pregnant, he's like, well, first of all, that's impossible. But then he's like, well, if she gives birth to a daughter could someday become a mother. So he decides she's gonna give birth to the baby, and then he's just gonna kill it if it's a girl. Straight out the womb. Brutal. Anyway, there's this scene where Noah is telling a story that his father told him about the creation of the world and the fall of mankind and stuff. And we see scenes from the Garden of Eden, and Adam and Eve are like glowing lights. They're like featureless. They're in human form, but they're completely like golden or something. No discernible faces or anything. It's an interesting take on Adam and Eve. They kind of worked the Big Bang into the creation of the universe, which was kind of interesting. What else? Oh, there's this interesting part where one of the Watchers looks up to the sky and says, "Creator, forgive me." And when each of the Watchers die, their spirit forms shoot up into the sky. So I guess God or the Creator forgives them and brings them back up to heaven. Interesting. I really like that. Okay, so Noah and Tubal-Cain get in a fight. Shem is going to try to kill Noah in order to protect his daughters. Because Ilah gives birth to twin girls. And I'll mention why this is significant later. Shem hits Noah. Tubal-Cain uses this to his advantage. But then Ham stabs Tubal-Cain and kills him. So Tubal-Cain's like, now you're a man, because he had asked earlier if he's a man yet. So he's like, now you're a man, and he gives Ham the snake skin that he had taken off of Japheth's body when he had killed him, or Japheth. So it was at this point during the fight that, okay, the rain had already stopped, and now the ark had hit a mountain. Okay? Oh, by the way, I should mention that they do address the thing with sending out the animals, and a dove does indeed come back with an olive branch. They put that into a movie. Okay? Now, when Noah goes, outside, and he's going to kill his granddaughters, but they're crying, and Ilah said, just let me put them to sleep first. And she sings the lullaby that Noah had sung to her when she was little, which is something that he had heard when he was little. So this affects him, but he's still trying to go through with killing them, and she's like, do it quickly. But Instead, he bends down and he kisses each of the girls on the forehead. So he can't bring himself to basically end humanity's last hope. So, they disembark from the Ark. I should mention that they do put in the part from the Bible where Noah has a vineyard. Apparently he grew this rather quickly. And he gets drunk, he takes off his clothes, he strips out naked in his tent. Ham finds his father naked, but then Shem and Japheth, that's his other son. Yeah, they carry a cloak backwards without looking at their father, and they cover him up, and he wakes up and he's ashamed. He doesn't curse Ham's son, because first of all, Ham doesn't have a son yet. There's no cursing. There's which basically removes all of Noah's dialogue from the actual biblical story. Noah doesn't build an altar in Thanksgiving, and he doesn't sacrifice any of the animals. And I always thought that part about sacrificing the animals was strange anyway, because unless the animals reproduced on the Ark, then Noah would have been killing off a bunch of species, because he took only 2 of each on the Ark. Except for one brief moment when God said 2 of every unclean animal and 7 of every clean animal. Male by female, which 7 is an odd number, so that doesn't even make any sense. But that 7 was mentioned like only once, and it's apparently some kind of error or some kind of strange anomaly in the original story. But they don't put that in the movie. They wisely dropped that. What else? The guy who played Adam was actually named Adam. Neat. There's an interesting part before the flood where Tubal-Cain shoots like a flare or something into the sky and demands that the Creator speak to him, and he gets nothing. Of course, Noah also gets nothing when he asks the Creator, "Tell me what to do, am I doing the right thing?" He gets nothing. Okay, there is no verbal communication from God in this entire movie. The only thing that we get are some of Noah's visions, and that's it. That is it. Which actually makes it more interesting, because then you got they have to figure out what God or what the Creator is wanting them to do. Or actually, Noah's trying to figure this out, and eventually Ella says, the Creator put the choice in your hands to end the human race or continue it, and you chose mercy. Ham leaves because he's still, pissed at Noah because of Nael. But then you're like, do you think he'll come back? And Noah's like, some bonds can never be broken. Ham doesn't show back up in the movie, obviously, but now the thing is, part of the defense of the babies is the Creator has given us what we need. Basically, these 2 girls are supposed to grow up to become Ham and Japheth's wives. So the 3 wives were aboard the Ark because Ella had gotten pregnant with Shem, Ella conceived Shem's daughters before the flood. So all three wives did board the ark. It's just not how you expect it. Okay? It's a clever twist. I really enjoyed that when I figured it out. So Noah gives his blessing and he says, "Be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth." And then we see rainbows popping up in the sky and swirling and stuff. Now, in the movie, just taking the movie on its own, that doesn't make any sense on its own. There's no context for it. But it's a sign of the creator's promise to never again flood the earth and wipe out humanity. Okay? Tubal-Cain feasted on some of the animals on the ark, killing them in their sleep, and he had Ham do the same. In fact, there's this point where Ham has like cow blood or some kind of blood splatters all over his face. It's really freaky. And I actually got upset at that when some of the animals got killed. Okay, so how was everyone in the film? I thought everyone did a good job. Russell Crowe's Noah is good. Jennifer Connelly's good as his wife. Emma Watson's good. Of course, I'm a fan of her from the Harry Potter series. Anthony Hopkins was Methuselah. He was good. The sons were good. Apparently, we got like Frank Langella and Nick Nolte as some of the Watchers. You can't tell, but yeah, they did good. Madison Davenport is not Al. I mean, for a small time as she was in the film, she made a big impact. So when she dies horribly, you really care. The movie can be very difficult to watch at times. Some people have complained that the score isn't very good, but I picked up a particular theme at one point. It's meant to sound like ancient, like distant past type, and I thought it was good. If there's an actual score, I'd like to get it. Apparently there was also a comic book that was released prior to the movie, and I might get that as well. It's based on the first draft script of the movie, apparently. But yeah, the movie's really good. Go and see it, definitely. The only, okay, so to summarize the differences in the story, where, let me find the name of Noah's father again. Oh, Lamech. I might have said Japheth earlier, but it's Lamech. Okay, Lamech, dies when Noah's young, so that's a difference. Tubal-Cain hitches a ride on the ark. Okay. God doesn't actually speak. They left out the altar. Noah building the altar and sacrificing the animals after the flood. They left out Noah's curse. Where he said something like, "Cursed be Canaan." Canaan's like Ham's son, who doesn't actually exist in the movie. But other than that, they got all of the main points in there, I believe. They kind of kept the duration of the flood kind of vague, except I guess it's supposed to be around 9 months due to Illa's pregnancy. I guess, maybe. I mean, there's wiggle room. But yeah, so Noah, it's a good film. Definitely check it out, and I guess I've rambled on long enough. It's 2:01 p.m. and that's it. Thanks for watching.